The hum of the engine and the rhythmic thrumming of tires on asphalt reverberated through the night as I navigated the desolate stretch of highway, shrouded in darkness. The stars above seemed to twinkle with an eerie glow, casting faint shadows that danced along the edges of the road. It was the kind of night that whispered tales of the unknown, and I found myself entranced by the solitary journey beneath the canvas of the cosmos. I had decided to take a shortcut, a deserted highway that promised to trim a considerable chunk off my travel time. The GPS guided me through a labyrinth of narrow roads, each turn leading me deeper into the heart of the night. The solitude was both comforting and unsettling, the only company being the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. As the miles rolled by, a sense of isolation settled in, amplified by the desolation of the surroundings. The only companion was the soft glow of the dashboard lights and the distant hum of the engine. That's when I noticed it, a pair of headlights emerging from the shadows, mirroring my every move. At first, I dismissed it as a mere coincidence. After all, lone travelers often shared the same stretches of road, converging in parting ways in the vast expanse of the night. However, the unease crept in when I realized the other vehicle maintained a consistent distance, neither drawing closer nor falling behind. The pursuer's headlights, like two luminous eyes, stared at me through the rearview mirror, unblinking and unwavering. No matter how fast I accelerated, the ominous glow remained fixed in its position. I could feel the tension coiling within me, a subtle paranoia that escalated with each passing mile. The highway stretched ahead, an unending ribbon of asphalt that wound through the wilderness. The trees on either side loomed like silent sentinels, casting elongated shadows that seemed to reach out for my vehicle. The rhythmic thud of my heartbeat synchronized with the pulse of the road, and the distant glow of the headlights became a haunting reminder of an unseen presence. Attempting to shake off the unease, I took a series of erratic turns, hoping to lose the persistent pursuer. However, it mirrored my movements with an unsettling precision. Panic gripped me as I considered the implications of the pursuit. Why would someone tail me so persistently on this desolate road? What dark motives hid behind those unyielding headlights? My mind raced, conjuring scenarios of malevolent intent, a faceless adversary lurking in the shadows. The headlights seemed to cast long, grasping fingers that clawed at the edges of my consciousness. I questioned every decision, every turn, wondering if I had unwittingly stumbled into a nightmarish game. A sense of vulnerability enveloped me as the isolation of the highway amplified the psychological toll of the pursuit. The rational part of my mind insisted it was a coincidence, a fellow traveler navigating the same nocturnal labyrinth. Yet, the irrational whispers of paranoia persisted, urging me to confront the possibility that I was being trailed with malicious intent. In an attempt to confirm my fears, I decided to pull over at a deserted gas station that loomed ahead like a lone outpost in the wilderness. The headlights of the pursuer maintained their haunting glow, casting a pall over the otherwise silent surroundings. The gas station, abandoned and weather-worn, stood as a stark reminder of the isolation that surrounded me. As I parked by the deserted pumps, the pursuer parked a discreet distance away. I stepped out of my vehicle, the night air carrying a chill that seemed to seep into my bones. The headlights of the other vehicle illuminated a silhouette within, but no discernible features. The tension in the air was palpable, a silent confrontation in the stillness of the night. For a moment, we stood there, separated by the empty expanse of the gas station. It felt like a standoff between the known and the unknown, a dance of uncertainty beneath the flickering light of a solitary street lamp. The pursuer remained within their vehicle, an enigma wrapped in the glow of their unyielding headlights. Summoning a courage I didn't know I possessed, I called out into the silence, demanding an explanation for the persistent pursuit. The response was an unsettling silence, broken only by the distant rustling of leaves and the hum of the night. The tension escalated, and the isolation of the highway felt like a vice closing around me. As I contemplated my next move, the headlights flared to life, and the pursuer's vehicle peeled away from the gas station, disappearing into the obsidian night. The departure was as mysterious as the pursuit, leaving me standing alone in the desolate silence. I returned to my vehicle, heart still pounding, and watched as the distant glow of the headlights dwindled to nothingness. The highway stretched ahead, devoid of the ominous presence that had haunted my journey. The isolation persisted, but the enigmatic pursuer had faded into the tapestry of the night. The remainder of the journey was completed in an air of wary vigilance, the solitude of the highway now tinged with the memory of the unexplained pursuit. The headlights, once a harbinger of unease, were replaced by the soft glow of dawn as the night reluctantly yielded to the encroaching light. The incident lingered in the recesses of my mind, a spectral imprint on the canvas of memory. The highway, once a conduit for travel, had become a stage for an inexplicable encounter with the unknown. The headlights, like two luminous eyes, continued to watch from the shadows, a silent reminder that some mysteries are better left unexplored. Let's hop on to story number 2, but before I begin reading, make sure that you have subscribed to Mr. Scare for regular horror podcasts. Under the dim glow of the waning moon, my partner and I found ourselves on an unfamiliar highway, the asphalt stretching out before us like an endless ribbon through the desolate landscape. The isolation of the road felt pronounced, the only company being the occasional flickering of insects drawn to our headlights. Our journey took an unexpected turn when we rounded a bend to discover a sight that sent shivers down our spines: a roadblock, manned by menacing figures clad in hazmat suits. A cold knot of fear tightened in my stomach as we approached the blockade, our headlights revealing the stark outlines of the suited figures standing like silent sentinels. My partner and I exchanged nervous glances, the metallic taste of uncertainty hanging in the air. The figures raised their gloved hands in a gesture that was both a warning and a command to halt. The unmarked vehicles parked strategically around the roadblock seemed to reinforce the gravity of the situation. Rolling down my window, I cautiously called out, seeking answers to the obvious question: why had the highway become a forbidden zone? The response was a stern silence, broken only by the rustling of the night wind and the muffled sounds of the engine. The figures remained stoic, their featureless masks obscuring any hint of expression. As the unease settled in, my partner and I made the unanimous decision to investigate further. Something about the situation felt deeply unsettling, and we couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the roadblock than met the eye. The isolation of the highway took on a foreboding quality, the silence broken only by the muffled hum of the idling vehicles. Gently maneuvering our car off the road, we slipped into the shadows, careful not to attract undue attention. The figures observed us with an unyielding gaze, their hazmat suits giving them an otherworldly appearance. As we approached the perimeter, the roadblock seemed to stretch into infinity, and the night whispered with a palpable tension. The air became charged with an unsettling energy as we neared the roadblock, the gravity of the situation sinking in. The figures in hazmat suits shifted in an eerie unison, tracking our every move. It was as if the highway itself had become a battleground, with us unwittingly stepping onto the front lines of a conflict that transcended the boundaries of our understanding. My partner and I discovered a tear in the fabric of the makeshift blockade, a gap that allowed us to slip past the stoic figures. The moment we breached the barrier, a sense of dread hung in the air like an oppressive fog. The highway, once an open road to our destination, now felt like a labyrinthine trap, and we were the unwitting players in a macabre game. As we delved deeper into the restricted zone, a surreal landscape unfolded before us. Unmarked vehicles, their surfaces marred by mysterious symbols, were parked haphazardly. The air buzzed with an unnatural resonance, and the distant murmur of voices carried on the wind, their words indecipherable but laden with a sense of urgency. My partner and I stumbled upon a makeshift command center, a cluster of tents illuminated by flickering lights. The atmosphere within was tense, the air thick with the acrid scent of uncertainty. Officials in disheveled uniforms huddled around monitors, their faces etched with a combination of fear and bewilderment. Approaching one of the officials, we attempted to glean information about the nature of the roadblock. Reluctantly, the official began to unravel a tale that sounded like a script from a dystopian thriller. The government, in its pursuit of knowledge, had conducted an experiment gone horribly wrong. The highway, unbeknownst to us, had become ground zero for a clash between otherworldly entities and those trapped in the unfolding horror. The hazmat-suited figures were part of a desperate attempt to contain the breach, a last line of defense against forces that defied comprehension. The symbols on the vehicles and the air of urgency were testament to the battle that raged just beyond our understanding. My partner and I were caught in the crossfire, unwitting pawns in a game played by forces beyond our reckoning. The realization sent a chill down our spines, and the isolation of the highway became a suffocating embrace. The air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy, and the distant sounds of the confrontation echoed like a spectral symphony. As the official spoke, our surroundings took on a surreal quality. The highway, once a conduit for our journey, had become a battlefield where the boundaries between the known and the unknown blurred. The night, previously silent, now thrummed with the cadence of an otherworldly conflict. Dread coiled in the pit of my stomach as we contemplated the choices before us. The roadblock, once an impediment to our progress, now seemed like a feeble barrier between us and the enigmatic forces that clashed on the highway. The figures in hazmat suits, guardians or prisoners, stood as silent witnesses to a confrontation that transcended human understanding. My partner and I faced a decision: retreat to the safety of the familiar or press forward into the heart of the inexplicable. The highway stretched before us like a ribbon of uncertainty, and each step felt like a descent into the unknown. As we stood on the precipice of a surreal battlefield, the stars overhead bore witness to the unfolding drama, indifferent to the cosmic clash that played out on the isolated stretch of road. The highway, once a means to an end, had become a stage for a conflict that defied the laws of our reality. My partner and I, caught in the nexus of the extraordinary, had to navigate a path through the surreal landscape of the roadblock, our destinies entwined with the enigmatic forces that sought to assert their dominance over the isolated highway. The night unfolded like a fever dream, each moment pregnant with the tension of the unknown. The clash between the government's ill-fated experiment and the otherworldly entities painted the highway in hues of uncertainty. The stars above, silent witnesses to the unfolding drama, watched as the road became a battleground for forces that transcended the boundaries of human comprehension. As my partner and I made our choice, the highway awaited, its asphalt veins pulsating with an energy that transcended the mundane. The roadblock, once an obstacle, became a threshold to the extraordinary, and the night whispered secrets that eluded the grasp of human understanding. The isolation of the highway, once a lonely expanse, now teemed with the unseen forces that played their cosmic games on the canvas of the night. The night was a shroud of darkness, and I found myself winding through the isolated roads of the Midwest. Surrounded by vast cornfields that whispered secrets in the night breeze, I sought solace from the profound isolation by tuning into the car radio. The scan button cycled through stations, each offering a fleeting connection to the outside world. However, it was when I stumbled upon an obscure frequency that my journey took a disconcerting turn. The static-laden voice on the radio seemed to dance with an otherworldly cadence, drawing me into its mysterious symphony. As the cryptic broadcast unfolded, I found myself ensnared in a narrative that transcended the ordinary. The voice, tinged with an eerie prescience, began describing events in chilling detail, events that mirrored my surroundings and actions with uncanny accuracy. It was as though the voice held a sinister clairvoyance, narrating the script of my journey through the rural expanse. The initial amusement of coincidence soon gave way to a creeping paranoia. How could a radio frequency predict my every move, delve into the recesses of my thoughts? The road stretched ahead like an unending corridor, each mile marked by the unsettling commentary emanating from the radio. The voice became a spectral narrator of my journey, weaving a narrative that intertwined with the very fabric of my reality. It foretold the upcoming twists and turns of the road, the subtle fluctuations of my emotions, even the fleeting contemplations within the confines of my mind. As the minutes turned to hours, the line between the broadcast and reality blurred. A sinister force seemed to manipulate the journey, dictating my path with a malevolent glee. I questioned my sanity, grappling with the inexplicable intersection of the radio's predictions and the unfolding events. Every roadside landmark mentioned by the voice manifested before me, a haunting confirmation of the broadcast's influence over the material world. The voice delved into the mundane details of my life, exposing vulnerabilities and fears I dared not acknowledge. The frequency had become a conduit to a realm that transcended the boundaries of the known. Desperation gnawed at the edges of my consciousness. With each predictive revelation, the realization dawned that I was no longer in control of my own journey. The road, once a symbol of liberation, had transformed into a labyrinth of uncertainty, manipulated by forces beyond my comprehension. The radio's voice, now a malevolent guide, directed me to a desolate crossroads bathed in the glow of a pale moon. A looming presence seemed to materialize in the shadows, and the air thickened with an oppressive energy. The radio fell silent, leaving me alone in the vast expanse with only the haunting echoes of the broadcast lingering in the air. As I stood at the crossroads, a realization dawned: the radio frequency wasn't merely a passive observer of my journey. It was a conduit for something dark and insidious, a force that sought to manipulate the very fabric of reality. The voice had lured me to this surreal intersection, a nexus where the boundaries between the tangible and the ethereal dissolved. The oppressive stillness of the night was shattered by a whisper, a disembodied echo that emanated from the shadows. The voice, stripped of its radio vessel, spoke directly to my consciousness, revealing a malevolent intelligence that hungered for control. In that moment of revelation, the crossroads became a battleground between my will and the spectral force that sought dominion over my journey. The air buzzed with an unseen struggle, and the rural landscape bore witness to a confrontation that transcended the limitations of the physical world. The voice taunted and cajoled, a psychological warfare that sought to unravel the seams of my sanity. Yet, amidst the oppressive atmosphere, a determination stirred within me. The road, once manipulated by the radio's predictions, now beckoned as a path of defiance. With each step away from the crossroads, I reclaimed a fragment of autonomy. The radio frequency, its influence waning, became a fading echo in the recesses of my consciousness. The road, though scarred by the surreal ordeal, unfolded ahead as an open expanse, free from the manipulative grasp of the spectral force. The journey continued, but the memory of that haunted frequency lingered. The highway, once an ordinary conduit, had become a theater for a battle between the unknown and the indomitable spirit of human resilience. The radio waves, now a mere backdrop to the expanse of the night, whispered tales of an encounter that transcended the boundaries of the mundane. The night was a canvas painted with the mysteries of the unknown, and as I drove deeper into its depths, the echoes of a surreal experience intertwined with the rhythm of the road. Amidst the vast expanse of the Midwest, our laughter echoed inside the car, blending with the rhythmic hum of tires against the asphalt. The night had draped itself over the landscape, and our headlights cut through the darkness, guiding us toward an unknown destination. As the fuel gauge flirted with emptiness, we decided to pull into a dimly lit gas station that seemed to materialize out of nowhere. Nestled between stretches of desolate roads, the station stood like a solitary sentinel against the ink-black backdrop of the night. Its neon sign flickered erratically, casting an eerie glow on the cracked pavement. The decision to refuel was unanimous, spurred by the promise of caffeine and snacks to fuel our journey. The gas station, an island of light in the sea of darkness, beckoned us to its pumps. Little did we know that this nondescript pit stop would become the threshold to a nightmarish reality. As we pulled in, the atmosphere took on an unsettling stillness. The night seemed to hold its breath, and the distant chirping of crickets became a haunting symphony. The flickering neon seemed to be a silent harbinger, warning us of the strange events that awaited. Exiting the car, I was greeted by a gust of cold wind that carried an otherworldly chill. My friends, seemingly oblivious to the shifting ambience, bantered about mundane things, the playlist for the road, the odd assortment of snacks they intended to purchase. The gas station attendant, an older man with tired eyes, shuffled towards us, the glow of the overhead lights casting deep shadows on his wrinkled face. "Evening, folks. Where are you headed?" he asked, a mechanical politeness in his tone that barely masked an undercurrent of weariness. The interaction felt rehearsed, like a scene played out countless times in the silent hours of the night. As he handed me the nozzle, his gaze seemed to linger a moment longer, a subtle warning hidden behind tired eyes. I brushed it off as fatigue, the product of a long night on the graveyard shift. While refueling, I noticed odd occurrences that danced at the edge of perception. Lights in the distance seemed to flicker in and out of existence, creating a disorienting dance of shadows. The attendants, who moments ago had been present, vanished like specters in the rearview mirror. It was as though the station existed in a state of flux, tethered to the normalcy of our reality but poised to slip into something altogether more sinister. Returning to the car, I shared my unease with the group. A nervous laughter rippled through the air, a collective dismissal of my concerns. However, as we prepared to leave, the unsettling events escalated. The gas station, bathed in the pale glow of its flickering lights, seemed to warp before our eyes. Shadows stretched unnaturally, and the air vibrated with an unspoken tension. My friends, now less dismissive of my apprehensions, exchanged uneasy glances as we entered the convenience store. The interior was a surreal panorama of disarray. Shelves stocked with snacks and beverages appeared to shift and rearrange themselves. A low hum, reminiscent of distant chanting, whispered through the aisles. The flickering lights cast long, sinister shadows that danced with a life of their own. As we ventured deeper into the convenience store, reality seemed to unravel. The air grew thicker, and the ambient sounds of the night outside warped into dissonant melodies that resonated with an otherworldly cadence. The gas station, once a mundane waypoint, now bore the markings of a portal to a dimension beyond our comprehension. We attempted to maintain a semblance of normalcy, filling our arms with snacks and drinks, yet an unspoken understanding passed between us. This was no ordinary pit stop. The gas station had become a liminal space, a threshold between the familiar and the eldritch. The cashier, a spectral figure with vacant eyes, processed our purchases mechanically. His movements seemed out of sync with reality, a puppet manipulated by unseen forces. I could sense the trepidation in my friends, the unspoken realization that we were guests in a realm governed by laws far removed from our understanding. Leaving the store, the gas station's exterior had transformed. The neon sign, once a beacon of weary hospitality, now pulsed with an otherworldly glow. The attendant, his weary eyes replaced with an unsettling luminescence, extended a gnarled hand as if bidding us farewell on a journey with no return. As we stepped back into the night, the surroundings had shifted. The gas station, now a monolithic structure against the starless sky, seemed to stretch infinitely into the abyss. The landscape around us had twisted into an alien geography, as though the laws of physics had surrendered to a malevolent whimsy. Our car, the last vestige of familiarity, sat alone in the vast expanse of the transformed gas station. The night air thrummed with a palpable malevolence, and the shadows cast by the flickering lights took on shapes that seemed to move with a life of their own. An unspoken agreement passed between us. The car, our sanctuary, would be our conduit back to the reality we knew. As the engine roared to life, the gas station became a fading specter in the rearview mirror. Yet, the spectral glow of the neon sign lingered, an indelible mark on the canvas of our journey. The desolate roads stretched ahead, an uncertain path through the unknown. The gas station, with its flickering lights and spectral attendants, became a story whispered in the quiet moments of our journey. A tale to be shared cautiously, as though the very act of recounting would summon the malevolent forces that lurked in the shadows of that night. The night unfolded, our car cutting through the vast expanse with the rhythmic hum of tires on asphalt. The gas station, now a mere speck in the rearview mirror, vanished into the recesses of the forgotten. Yet, the echoes of that night lingered, a disconcerting melody that resonated with the inexplicable and the unsettling. Beneath the expansive canvas of the Arizona sky, my partner, Sarah, and I embarked on a spontaneous road trip, craving the untold stories that awaited us on the open road. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows on the vast desert landscape as we navigated the desolate highways, guided only by the glow of our headlights. Our journey took an unexpected turn when, in the distance, a series of colorful lights flickered like distant stars. Intrigued by this unexpected beacon, we veered off the main road, the allure of the unknown pulling us closer. The neon lights revealed the silhouette of an imposing structure, a roadside attraction that seemed to materialize out of the darkness. The sign, adorned with vibrant hues and whimsical font, welcomed us to the Mirage, gateway to wonders. An aura of mystery surrounded the place, and curiosity propelled us forward. The entrance, framed by a towering arch adorned with intricate patterns, beckoned us into a realm promising marvels beyond imagination. As we stepped through the arch, the air shifted, charged with an energy that hinted at something extraordinary. The Mirage unfolded before us, a kaleidoscope of lights and illusions. A carousel of holographic animals pranced in a mesmerizing dance, and a mirrored maze reflected infinite versions of ourselves. The attractions, while captivating, bore an uncanny quality. The laughter of children echoed from unseen corners, and the shifting lights painted surreal scenes on the canvas of our surroundings. The Mirage had transformed into a labyrinth of wonders, each step pulling us deeper into its enchantment. As we navigated the maze, the line between reality and illusion blurred. The shimmering images played tricks on our perception, leading us down winding corridors that seemed to twist and contort with a malevolent intent. Despite our initial excitement, a subtle unease settled over us. Amidst the illusions, we stumbled upon an area labeled the Hall of Reflections. Intricate mirrors lined the walls, creating a disorienting infinity that left us questioning which versions of ourselves were real. Our reflections seemed to whisper secrets, their eyes holding a knowing gaze that transcended the confines of the glass. The mirage, once a whimsical escape, revealed a darker underbelly. The laughter that echoed through the halls morphed into an unsettling chorus, and the vibrant lights took on a sickly hue. The sense of being watched intensified, as though unseen eyes followed our every move. Attempting to retrace our steps, we found ourselves ensnared in a shifting reality. The once familiar paths had transformed into a disconcerting labyrinth, each turn leading us deeper into the heart of the mirage. Panic set in as the mirages around us seemed to mock our attempts to escape. In our pursuit of adventure, we had unwittingly become captives of a malevolent spectacle. The mirage, with its illusions and enchantments, had become a nightmarish playground where reality itself unraveled. The attractions, once wondrous, now held a macabre quality that sent shivers down our spines. The disconcerting laughter grew louder, resonating from unseen depths within the mirage. We stumbled upon a chamber labeled the Chamber of Shadows, where silhouettes danced on the walls in macabre choreography. The figures, distorted and elongated, seemed to whisper of secrets that transcended the boundaries of the mirrored maze. Desperation fueled our journey through the disorienting corridors. The haunting laughter, now an oppressive symphony, echoed through the mirage. As we ventured deeper, the illusions warped into grotesque manifestations, distorted faces leering from the mirrors, and spectral hands reaching out from the walls. In our pursuit of an extraordinary experience, we had unwittingly stumbled upon a realm where the line between wonder and horror blurred. The attractions, once vibrant and alluring, revealed their true nature as conduits to a reality warped by malevolent forces. Our journey through the mirage became a harrowing odyssey, a struggle against the illusions that sought to imprison us within their distorted embrace. The laughter, now a cacophony of disembodied voices, echoed through the endless corridors, taunting our futile attempts to escape. Exhausted and disoriented, we stumbled upon an exit sign. The promise of freedom lured us forward, but as we stepped through the archway, the mirage revealed its final illusion. The landscape beyond the exit was a mere extension of the labyrinth, an endless expanse of mirrors reflecting our futile attempts to break free. A sense of resignation settled over us as we faced the infinite reflections of our own captivity. The mirage, with its beguiling wonders, had ensnared us in a reality where escape was an illusion and freedom an unattainable mirage. As the distorted laughter reverberated through the mirrored halls, we became prisoners of the very wonders that had promised to set us free.